Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it.
You just set it and forget it.
You just set it and you forget about it.
You just set it and then forget it.
You just set it and forget it.
Set it and forget about it.
You set it and forget it.
What if I told you there was a way to set it and forget it when it comes to your retirement?
Welcome to the Worry-Free Retirement with best-selling author and fiduciary Tony Walker.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do. Them that have it, get more of it. The less they need it, the more they love it. And it sticks to them like glue. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.
Advertised on television by the same company who introduced to the world kitchen appliances such as the Veg-O-Matic, one of the most memorable of all was Ronco's Showtime Rotisserie Barbecue, which proudly proclaimed that all you had to do in order to cook up a great meal each night was to set it and forget it. This little gem of an appliance, which incidentally came in black and white, claimed to be able to cook with perfection just about anything that one could cram inside of this little toaster oven looking gadget. And not only was the Ronco Showtime Rotisserie Barbecue easy to use, all that was required was placing the food, any food for that matter, inside, and presto, simply set it and forget it. Well, it sounds a little too good to be true if you ask me, but since we're all looking for things to simplify our lives, let's for a moment imagine a world of perfect and easy cooking, one that would require no fuss, no muss, and no constant monitoring of your food. Just the advertised notion of setting it and forgetting it. My thoughts, wouldn't it be nice if there was a way to set it and forget it when it comes to our money and retirement? Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement, and yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, set it and forget it specialist and fiduciary, Tony Walker. And before we show you how Tony Walker Financial will help you create a set it, forget it game plan in money, let me introduce one of my favorite financial sidekicks ever to cook up a great radio program, America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander. Good morning, Aaron.
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
I am doing well. And on this beautiful, May 19th, hard to believe, morning, 2021 in Louisville. Yeah, what's the deal with time flying by? Is that just me?
No, it's me too.
Gosh, it's crazy. All right, Aaron, before we went on, I know you didn't even know the topic of the show. I said, all right, Aaron, quick, think of something in the set it and forget it world. Okay, your thumbs up. You got something. Lay it on me.
I think, the more we thought about this and the more we talked about this, the more I thought, this almost kind of reminds me of fantasy football. For those people out there who play fantasy football or even know what it is, you select players from different teams and it's, you are seeing how well, they will accumulate points each and every week. And you would think it's just kind of an easy computer thing to do. You just, pick your players and you just go. But there is so much more to it than that. If a player gets hurt, you're not going to get any points for that guy. Last year was disastrous. I played fantasy football with my brother and a couple other our buddies in a league. And just, with last year being, if they had 8 or more players with COVID, they didn't play. And so games would get canceled or postponed. And it was a nightmare. So that was just the first thing that came to my mind was, fantasy football, you'd think it's kind of a set it and forget it, but it's really not.
That is so funny you mentioned that because my oldest boy, Philip, I may have told you, he is really good with fantasy football. I think he won both of his leagues this year. But you're right. He is constantly talking about, man, you got to stay on top of that stuff. And he says in the leagues they're in, inevitably, if somebody starts out pretty good but doesn't watch it closely, they fizzle out because of what you do. Man, that's a great analogy. So I don't play fantasy football, but there you go, folks.
Well, I don't anymore.
Well, in the world of finance, believe it or not, the financial world, here's the problem, folks, and this is what you're faced with daily. The financial world has led you to believe, and there's a reason for this, we'll find this out today, that it is so easy. You should just be able to set it and forget it when it comes to your money. Let me give you a few examples. The biggest example right now that we see is especially in these 401k plans with something introduced several years ago. And on the surface, it sounds like a great set it and forget it type of instrument. And it's called a target date fund. Okay, target date fund. Aaron, we've talked about these on the show. You've heard about these, right?
Yes.
So let me explain in theory how this set it and forget it thing should work. So what happens, and you may have a 401k now, and you might have your statement handy, or you may know exactly what I'm talking about. But Aaron, you know, I always like to use the example of walking in a Japanese restaurant for the first time and looking at a sushi menu. You know, who knows, right?
It's overwhelming.
Overwhelming. So with a 401k, all of these selections over the years have just overwhelmed savers. They don't know what to pick. They call me all the time, Aaron, and say, hey, Tony, what do I pick here? So the financial world recognized this. You got to give them kudos there. And they came up with this brilliant notion of, hey, we'll take all the selection process off the table. We'll do a set it and forget it, and we'll create a target fund. So let me give you an example. So here's how this is going to work in theory. And it's kind of a disaster the way this is playing out as I watch people retire. Supposedly, somebody, we don't know who they are, has come up with the exact selection of the various stocks, bonds, and mutual funds that you're supposed to select based on when you retire. So let's say, Aaron, you're going to retire in the year 2030. Makes sense so far. Pretty easy.
Okay.
You're looking at this sushi menu full of all these financial selections, but all of a sudden you see this number that says 2030. Well, that catches your attention, right? Because you're thinking, hey, I'm going to retire in 2030. So they've created, whoever they is, as my grandmother used to say, a fund that you invest in, kind of blind faith, that supposedly is matched to your risk based on the fact that you say you'll retire in 2030. Now, how arbitrary is that?
Yeah.
Who selects the funds? How much stocks? Are these people savers? Are they investors? That's just one example. And what I would like to say to this is, folks, if in the perfect world we could set it and forget it, that would be fine. But there's one problem in this old world of life, and it's called change. In fact, as my late great father used to say, roll the tape, Aaron.
Nothing stays the same.
Yeah, you got it. Dick Walker was right. Folks, I can tell you with 100% certainty, write this down if you got a pen and paper, with 100% certainty, if you live long enough, all of the plans you made, all of the financial products you've picked, all the gadgets and gizmos for your, appliances for your kitchen, something will eventually change, which is the topic of our conversation. So how do we at Tony Walker Financial, we admit there is no perfect product, there is no perfect strategy out there, set it and forget it, but how can we mentally, listen closely, how can we mentally prepare our clients to set and forget it in retirement? Well, I'm going to show you that. So if you're one of those right now, retired or retiring soon, and you are really worried about the future, the uncertainty of it, we got these stock market prices at all-time high. We're going to tell you in a minute how quickly they can go down and remind you about what happened in 08. But if you are looking for a set it and forget it strategy, when I return, I'm going to share with you the simplest strategy of all and how we at Tony Walker Financial can help you implement it. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. I know on the magic of radio, you can't see this picture up behind me on the monitor as we prepare for the recording of the TV show, The Worry-Free Retirement. Incidentally, before we get into today's topic. Aaron, for those who maybe are not aware of our television show, or maybe they're aware of the television show but they've missed past episodes, tell everybody a little bit about our YouTube channel and also how people can listen to past episodes of the radio show.
Sure, no problem, Tony. So folks, if you're listening to this radio show now and you're thinking, man, I wish I would have caught the first part, or I wish I heard some other radio shows that Tony had, no problem. All you got to do is go to SoundCloud.com, and you're going to type in the Worry-Free Retirement, okay? Click search, and you're going to see Tony's awesome bobblehead picture, okay? Click on that. You're going to find all of our past radio shows. Now, if you're more visually and you want to see a TV show and you just, you can't catch the times or you're not sure when it's on, not a problem at all. All you got to do is go to YouTube.com, type in Tony Walker Financial, click search, and you'll see Tony's smiling face right there. Just click on that, and not only are you going to find past episodes, you're going to find all types of media content.
Well, thank you, Aaron. So behind me is a picture of my granddad. How many times have you seen this picture of him in the control
tons.
room? This was if I'm not mistaken, my mom provided this picture several years ago. Of course, he's been deceased for years, but this was the control room at Bell South in Frankfort, Kentucky, where he was an engineer. Now, my granddad started in 1932 with the phone company, retired in 78, and he literally had, Aaron, I thought about this as we were writing the show, he had a set-it-and-forget-it retirement plan. You want me to explain real quick what it was all about, how simple this was? Okay, so think about this, folks. If you're just joining us, we're talking about the notion of can we set up a plan for retirement? A set-it-and-forget-it plan, kind of like that rotisserie oven that Ronco used to advertise. Can we do that? And if so, how are we going to do that? Well, let's go back and look at Granddad just for a second. Now, remember, that generation that was retiring in the 70s was old enough to also remember something called the Great Depression, which roughly ran from 1929 to 32. So you got to remember, people coming out of the Depression saw what was back then and probably still is considered the worst collapse of the stock market ever. And that, along with other things, sent the country into a massive depression. So imagine coming out of the Depression. How many stocks do you think my granddad owned, Aaron?
I'm going to say 0.
Bingo. In fact, one of the greatest books ever written on investments, you ought to check it out. It's an oldie but goodie. Benjamin Graham's The Intelligent Investor. He quotes a survey that was done shortly after World War II in the 40s, Aaron. And back in those days, this just gives you a glimpse of how nervous they were about the stock market. 90% of the people back then, Aaron, now remember, they were the ones that saw the crash, said the stock market was a gamble. Does that surprise you?
No.
No. I mean, because they experienced and they saw what could happen. Now we fast forward. Okay, bear with me, folks. This is really important what I'm about to share, and it's going to help explain why you're given so much financial information that continues to cause nothing but worry. Okay, we're trying to get to that set it and forget it place that my granddad had. Okay, so in 78, he retires. The phone company starts paying him a pension. A pension is all it is an annuity. That's what a pension is. An annuity and or pension is something that's going to pay someone a guaranteed, that's the key word, Granddad loved this, a guaranteed income for the rest of their lives. All right? They called it a pension. He called it mailbox money. That, along with Social Security, that along with an ability to spend a whole lot less money than he made. I mean, those people were frugal back then. And, which was important back then, paid for health insurance and paid for long distance. I can remember spending a lot of time with my granddad. Folks, he did not worry about money, and he never had to change anything because the plan was already set. Now, ironically, the same year he retired in 1978, the government, along with Wall Street, in my opinion, got together, probably employers were tired of offering these expensive pension plans, and they introduced something called the 401k plan. So what happened was the 401k plan was supposed to be, Aaron, a set it and forget it mechanism for retirement. Now, I will say this about the 401k plan. As far as saving for retirement, it is pretty good because you can set it and forget it. You can buy a S&P 500, whatever you want to do, and you put it in, and hopefully your employer's contributing, and most of you out there are probably doing this, and off you go, and it's growing, and you keep contributing, and it bounces around, but you're working, trying to raise kids, you don't pay any attention, that's for retirement, and off you go. Set it and forget it. But there's a huge, huge problem, and we're seeing this right now. It's estimated each and every day, thousands and thousands of savers are hitting age 65. So guess what their dilemma is, Aaron? They've been saving all their life. Now they're getting into retirement. What's the problem?
They have no idea what they have.
Bingo. They have no game plan. So folks, the thing you've got to understand, the set it and forget it mechanism that Granddad had was to work and then retire, and then that guaranteed income would start coming the rest of his life. That was the set it and forget it. Man, he didn't have to make any decisions, didn't have to go to a dinner seminar to learn about retirement planning, didn't have to search the internet, didn't have to put all of his blind faith in a stock market, which nobody can guarantee or predict. It was set it and forget it. But here you are, okay, gone are the days all these big fat pensions. Even if you get a pension, most people nowadays don't want to leave the pension there. They're worried about it. They want the flexibility. They want control of the money. In fact, if you have a pension, you're getting ready to retire. I know a lot of you out there still have them that are in retirement age. Before you select that pension option, let me encourage you to contact me. Don't select that pension option until we can talk and lay out a game plan. You know, it's funny, Aaron, back in 78, most people back then wouldn't have ever thought about rolling over a pension. They just let the monthly payment come. But now with people living longer, many people have family needs that have come up. Again, this is back to change, folks. Do you know how many people I'm meeting, Aaron, that are now having to help assist with like grandchildren?
Probably a lot.
A lot. You know, so the idea of locking up your money in a pension and getting this installment for the rest of your life you can never change is probably not as attractive as it was back in Granddad's day. So we're working with a lot of people now, Aaron. What we'll do is, let's say they retire and they have a pension, we'll roll the pension over. These lump sum pensions, we'll actually put those, we'll talk in a minute about our split IRA, we'll combine that with the 401k, roll that over to our process at Tony Walker Financial, and we'll show you in a minute why that is such a powerful concept. But so as we get back to this whole idea of the stock market, so let's say you had the money in the stock market. Let's say you're still working. That money's done great. But as Aaron says, all of a sudden you're getting ready to retire, or you're a few years out from retirement. Let me take you back to the year of 08. Aaron, do you remember, I know I've shared this in the past, do you remember approximately how much money the average person lost when the last stock market crash, the major crash, was in 2008? What was do you remember hearing any of those statistics? On average, what did people lose?
I mean, I'll take a guess and I'll say 100,000.
100,000. So on average, okay, as a percent, if you had $200,000, Aaron is correct, you would have lost about $100,000. So no matter what you had out there, the average person, some were more, some were higher, we're just saying average, pretty much overnight, Aaron, it took about a year, but pretty much overnight between 2008 and 2009, would have lost 50% of what they had.
Wow.
Yeah, so stew on that a minute, folks. And again, if you were age 50 at the time or 40, I know that was probably tumultuous, but you probably thought, I can wait, it'll come back, and it did. But folks, this is a retirement planning show. This is not a show geared towards 30 and 40-year-olds. This is a show geared towards people of what we call either in the second half of life or at halftime. So yeah, if you would have gone through that major of a crash, and if that were to happen now, let's face it, as we record this show in May of 2021, the stock market has gone gangbusters, but we have to remember, we have inflation on the horizon, the debt spiraling out of control. We have a stock market that's very high. Valuations are out of whack. It could happen at any moment. I'm not trying to scare you folks. I'm just trying to help you be realistic about planning for retirement and the change that could come. So here's what I would suggest you do. When I come back, I'm going to use an example of how we at Tony Walker Financial, in fact, we're going to talk to our own Lisa Allerkamp, how we at Tony Walker Financial can set up a game plan, a set it and forget it game plan that will help you meet the changes. Here's the key, folks, the changes that will surely come your way. You're listening to The Worry-Free Retirement. I'm Tony Walker. You stay tuned. I'll be right back. With the stock market at all-time highs and our nation's debt through the roof, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. Now may be the best time to safeguard more of your 401k. Let's get started today by logging on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Well, good morning, Lisa. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Tony. I'm great.
Well, thank you for joining us. And our focus has been all the changes that come up with clients in retirement. So what are some of the issues that you see daily as you work with our clients in terms of our income planning?
Well, Tony, as you like to say, nothing stays the same. And our software was created with that in mind. It is flexible. So when our clients do experience life changes, maybe they decide to retire early or they need to retire early, or perhaps they've experienced the death of a spouse. Our game plan, it's a resource that they can use to assist them in considering different options of how much money and which accounts they can withdraw from safely.
And what would you say to people that say, well, I think I can try to just do this on my own, or I've got an advisor. We don't talk much about income planning, but why would I want you guys to help me, and what is it about this software? Why would I use you all versus just trying to go it alone?
Tony, a local firm that provides personalized game plans in addition to salaried fiduciaries that assist with decision making is just invaluable when you're faced with important decisions as far as where to withdraw money from. When our clients need to revisit their game plans, they'll find that our team is all on the same page. We can quickly pull up their personalized game plan and offer the feedback needed on their options.
Now, that is such a great point. And, you know, I didn't realize this. We've had almost over $40 million in 2020 that we withdrew from the accounts and sent to the clients. Speak to that a little bit about how exciting it is that our clients realize that they've got a game plan that can allow them to use and enjoy their money now versus maybe putting it off to a day they can't.
Right. I think just the game plans in a whole, Tony, they just give a sense of comfort and relief to our clients that are in retirement, knowing they have that money available and they have the game plan that shows them the whole picture for their retirement.
And that is so true. So, Lisa, we appreciate so much that you do and that you're so available to people who are currently clients that want to look at their situation, or prospective clients who are revisiting before they make a decision to go with us. So to have you on staff is just a wonderful blessing. We appreciate all your hard work.
Well, thank you, Tony. I enjoy doing the game plans for our clients.
I know you do. Thank you, and you have a good day, and I'll let you get back to work.
You too. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so you kind of have an idea now of what we do at Tony Walker Financial to meet the changes. Oh, before I get into an example of how we actually accomplish that versus the rest of the financial world that's telling you to set it and forget it and why, Aaron, I like to refer to the stock market as a roller coaster ride. You've heard me say that.
Yep.
Did you hear about this fellow that has ridden, where's that article? I'm trying to find it here. My favorite son-in-law, Trey, provided it to me. Dadgummit, I don't see it right now. But there's a guy out there that set the record for
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the guy at Coney Island or something?
Yeah, Coney Island. He kept riding a roller coaster over and over.
Yeah, he rode it for like 16 days straight. Maybe that's it. Maybe something like that, 16 days straight. Yeah, he set some kind of record.
Did you see his age, though? He wasn't retirement age. Okay, so there you go, folks. That's the thing with roller coasters. You know, when you're young, roller coasters are fun. I used to love roller coasters. I mean, you cannot pay me to get on a roller coaster, especially to ride that long, because I don't have the stomach for it. So if you don't have the stomach for the risk of the stock market, maybe you're okay with some risk. We're okay to do that. We'll show you in a minute how our Charles Schwab platform works. But folks, this is a show for savers. If you're more interested in the return of your money than on it, if you don't want to run out of money in retirement, if you want a trusted firm that'll be there for you for the long haul, not just to sell you a bunch of stuff and, you know, head for the hills, then you need to let us take a look at your situation. There's no cost or obligation to do so, and we'll be happy to do so at any time. In fact, we have offices in Bowling Green, Louisville, and Lexington, Kentucky. Besides myself as a fiduciary, I have 3 salaried fiduciaries, which is kind of an unusual arrangement. Most advisors and fiduciaries all work on a commission basis, so you're always kind of deep down wondering, okay, are they telling me to buy this because they make commission or big fees, or how does this work? The 3 fiduciaries I have that service what I sell, I meet with all of our clients, but service what I sell are all there for service purposes. They are not paid commissions. They're not rewarded if they, add things to the money, to the accounts, etc. They're paid a salary, and they're there to help our clients make decisions. It's a wonderful arrangement, very unusual. I don't know if anybody else does that. So again, if you don't have a fiduciary you can trust, or you're going it alone, I'll tell you in a minute how you can contact us. Okay. So let me show you why the financial world pretends that they have the set it and forget it attitude, that they have the magic bullet, which we've just kind of learned through the show. There really is no magic bullet. There is more of a process, and there are keys, though. So, Aaron, there are keys to a worry-free retirement. Let me first share with you the 3 keys for a worry-free retirement. It has nothing to do with product. Then I'm going to segue into the products themselves. So here's the 3 keys. First and foremost, listen to me, folks, because again, before you go invest in your money blindly with somebody, you have to have them show you a process of how they are going to monitor things. Now, why would you want something that's able to be monitored? That's just why we have our income planning software. This is why I have so much paid staff, because things will change. So if they can't prove to you on the front end how they're going to monitor it on the back end, why in the world would you ever trust them with your money? It makes no sense. The second key to a worry-free retirement, again, assuming you're a saver and you're in retirement, you have to think back to 2008 and realize you cannot have all your money at risk. You've got to have some safety built in, which we can show you how to do that. And finally, number 3, and this is just as important as anything, you have to have a plan, some sort of game plan. That's why we created the software that shows you and reveals to you where the money is going to come from to adapt to the changes. How much taxes are going to be owed? Which accounts should you pull money out of? When do you take Social Security? All of these things we can help you with at Tony Walker Financial. So now let me give you a real life example of why the financial world wants to set it and forget it, and for you not to take money out of these accounts. Remember, folks, the way we're all paid in this industry is by holding on to your money. We all make money on your money. What a lot of financial firms and advisors don't want you to do is take it away from them and spend it. Derek's sitting in here now helping with the show. Derek, what was that number Trey threw out? How many millions that we have sent back to people via the Schwab platform?
It was multi-millions. I mean, I think it was like 42 million.
42 million or something crazy. Yeah. So folks, over the years since we started the Schwab platform, we are encouraging our clients to get their money back. And how do we do that through the Schwab platform? Well, you have to have a strategy to protect the money on the back end. You see, over time, what I've learned in doing this for 37 years and meeting with over 15,000 people is most people will spend most of their money in the early years of retirement, not in the latter years. There's no reason to have billions of dollars stockpiled when you're 80 years of age. That's crazy. So what we do with the split IRA, we set that up so that we can have the Charles Schwab platform on the front end. Our fee to manage that is only 0.8%, okay? And then we put some of the money in fixed annuities so that we can provide that guaranteed income like Granddad, something I call mailbox money. Now, incidentally, a lot of people say, well, 0.8%, that sounds a little high every year. The average fee, I did an analysis on this, the average fee that we're seeing out there, Aaron, is about 1.25% per year.
It's a lot more than 0.8.
Oh, it's a whole lot more. And I want to show you something real quick before we close out. Here's an example of where we took a $500,000 401k. They were going to move it over to an advisor. We saw their fees. The advisor is going to charge on the first $250,000, 1.35%. On the next $250,000, 1.3%. Whereas we're going to divide up $300,000 into the Schwab at 0.8 and an annuity as an accumulation product with no fees. So the savings each year, here's what it's going to cost every year for the $500,000 with the high fee advisor over 10 years. If we multiply that out, about $132,000 in fees. That's a bunch. With us, under this particular example, about $48,000 in fees over that same 20-year period. So you're talking about a savings in that example, Aaron. What was that, $70,000-$80,000?
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. I mean, that's a new car, a couple new cars. So folks, if you're sitting there saying, well, Tony, I don't have a set it and forget it game plan. I don't have a fiduciary like yourself. I don't have local service. How can I find out more about you? Well, that's easy. Just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, TonyWalkerFinancial.com. Click on that Let's Get Started. We would be happy to talk with you by phone, or if it warrants an in-person meeting. Again, there's never a cost or obligation to meet. Or feel free to give us a call anytime at 877-499-9255. That's 877-499-9255. Well, we've enjoyed being with you today, and next week we've got another exciting show for you called The Rippling Effect of Money. Really some good stuff coming your way, but you remember, between now and then, if all else fails, you be worry-free.
If you got it, you don't need it. If you need it, you don't got it. You don't get it, shame on you. Funny, funny, funny what money can do.